how to think like a growth hacker because of the odds that are so difficult, understanding the power of LinkedIn, debunking these myths. Now we're going to go into the 7 steps. And like I mentioned, that this keynote was going to be action-packed, 1 full hour just of pure value, right? Then it's going to be up to you. Of course, I'll have some opportunities for you we can work together, mentorship, group calls, of course, I got a bunch of stuff that I do, but obviously right here, you already have enough to hit the ground running. So now we're going into the big dog, right? The blueprint. And like I said, the blueprint is actually quite simple. But if you haven't understood everything that I mentioned before, that's when the blueprint becomes difficult to apply. So step number 1 is, and I'm sorry, I'm talking so fast because I'm like, I want to give you all this value, right? I want you to really understand what's happening here. And so step number 1, I also know I got a ton of content to cover. Step number 1 is think like a career hacker. Okay, so this is like, go in there and really think about how do I find unconventional ways to get in there. When you're approaching a career pivot, you have to think like a growth hacker. You have to get in there in non-linear ways because you're not coming from a linear path. You have to ask yourself, how do I skip the line? There's about 200, 500 people who are going to apply to the job. How do I get straight to the right person? That's the kind of mindset you need to have. Forget the recruiter. Go straight to the hiring manager. Who's the hiring manager? Right? Who do I know who can get me there? Who do I know who knows someone who can get me there? Maybe I can just, look at them on LinkedIn and be able to kind of start like commenting on their posts and connecting and then asking, hey, would you be open for a coffee chat? Right? So you have to be really, really think like, how do I hack my way in? Because you don't have the time to get in line and have 500 applications where the odds of you actually getting an interview are slim to none. Because maybe you're not coming from, you don't have the perfect Harvard, MBA, Google, Stanford, Bain Consulting, and so on in your background. Then let me tell you a little quick story of Natalie, right? Absolutely love her, Natalie Marchino, right? She's basically was an Olympian athlete who became a top 100 woman in tech. Also interviewed her on the podcast. Absolute legend, right? She used to play professional rugby, both for US and Colombia, and then she pivoted into enterprise. She played in the Olympics. Just badass, right? And she didn't have the qualifications. It's not because you were a rugby player that you can break into tech and then, being in tech, then becoming one of the top 100 women in tech. No. That's not about rugby at all, right? And so she got into LinkedIn, then later on pivoted into Figma, and then she's in Europe now and just absolute badass. So you can also listen to the podcast episode. And so you have to think about how to get in. And so I'm going to give you a couple things very quickly because this is going to give you already some knowledge. So basically, to think like career hacker, you have to really just identify like the transferable skills that you have, and like list them out and determine, okay, how do I use that in my next role? You have to believe, right? You have to then study the game. What are different ways to get into that job? Side projects, internships, whatever it is, right? You have to take action. You have to actually take those projects, position yourself in a certain way. Like you really have to believe it. Step number 2, and obviously I'm going fast, all of this stuff is being taught in the program and any of my premium content, you can get access to them, right? And all this goes really into each of these steps that I'm going to show you. First one was thinking like a growth hacker. Second one is basically modeling successful people, right? And so the idea here is to find people on LinkedIn who have already done the pivot you want, or live the life you want, or in the company or the role you want, or live in the city that you want, analyze their career path, ask them questions, learn their skills, experiences, their knowledge, and so on. Find, analyze, learn. And the questions you want to ask yourself is, how can I borrow from their experience, to learn fast? How are they talking about displaying their experiences on how are they talking about or displaying their experiences on LinkedIn? Like sometimes they have a specific way that they're showing their experience on LinkedIn, right? And so I always first think like growth hacker, then I go out and find out someone who's already done it, then I ask them for a coffee chat, and then I'm in there, right? And you have, for example, the time when I reached out to different CMOs when I was looking to go from product marketing to CMO. Not that many product marketers become CMOs, right? They typically are product marketers and product marketers and product marketers. They go from manager to director to VP, and they typically stay there. Not that many want or have the ambition or the skills to be able to then break through to become a CMO. And so I just reached out to several people who kind of, we could have some conversation, learn from the experience, and then so I could do the same. And that's what I did. All right, so model successful people because you get to learn from them. And then I became a CMO at a big fintech group in Barcelona. In Paris. So identify role models, interview them. So reach out to a few people there to identify. You can go on LinkedIn. It's very easy to filter them. Then you want to interview, and then you want to calibrate. Which basically means like actually apply your learning, make a list of the 3 strategies that you need to pivot, actually show that you've done the work, apply the work that they've taught that they told you to do. Then it's about step 3 is closing the gap. And so now what you want to do is, okay, well, it looks like I need to get into product marketing and I don't have product marketing experience. And I need to learn about competitive research. I need to learn about product launches. I need to know about pricing strategy. I need to learn about sales enablement, whatever it is, right? And so now you need to close the gap. And so the objective is, okay, you need to quickly identify those skills and experience gaps, network gaps. You need to take quick actions on these, so side projects, certifications, and so on. You need to volunteer on some tasks, whether it's already in your current job or others. And the questions you want to ask yourself is like kind of what are the additional certifications and courses do I need to have? What are the practical exercises or projects I need to do? What are the skills listed on their profile of those people? Angel Gonzalez, he was a salesperson at LinkedIn, and he ended up doing free projects for startups in Y Combinator, so he can get experience in product marketing. And then later on, he pivoted into product marketing. Right? There's so many ways. It's just so exciting when you are able to get out of your own head and your own limitations and your own myths. There's a lot of ways to get the room. And so you have to name the gap, right, that you have. You have to level up, so you gain that experience quickly, and then you got to prove it. Post about it, do a video about it, complete a project about it, right? So name the gap, level up, prove it. Step 4 is build a lead generation machine. So now that you got that right, you think like a growth hacker, you talk to a lot of people, you identified your skills that you have gaps, then you got to close those gaps fast. And now it's all about lights, camera, action. This is when you actually build a lead gen machine. And so you build a lead generation machine. What that means is basically understanding how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. This is about generating leads, opportunities, right? So using LinkedIn to basically create content that attracts opportunities. It's leveraging specifically LinkedIn to reach, and Twitter or anywhere else out there to reach out to people and hiring managers, and leveraging strategic partnerships like recruiters, mentors, professional networks to get connected. And so the question is, you want to ask yourself is, how do I get found? Who are the hiring managers? Which agencies should I partner with that are actually going out and hiring for these roles? And so when you're going through this, the idea is to think about your inbound, outbound, and partnership growth levers. Inbound is optimizing your LinkedIn profile. Outbound is reaching out to targeted companies, and partnerships is reaching out to agencies that are actually recruiting for those roles, because typically companies won't have that. And they're typically your best bet because they're recruiting for multiple roles at once. And so when they like you, they end up kind of like showing a lot of opportunities for you. Step 5 is interview interview to win. And the idea here is that you have to prepare thoroughly. You have to research the company, competitors, and interviewers. You have to understand the market and align your resources with their cultures and values. You have to gather insight information where possible, right, to actually speak to people at the company. And so what you want to do here is basically before the interview, you want to prepare to win. So study the recruiter, the job description, inside information, and so on. You want to, during the interview, use different like frameworks, like the STAR framework, the 5 C's way of answering questions. There's a lot of things here. And then you also want to follow up, right? Sending a message, tracking your progress, keeping everything relevant. Let's say if a recruiter introduced you, then obviously make sure you loop the recruiter in to let them know how it's going. If you had someone who gave you referrals, so make sure you reach out to them, let them know where you are in the stage, and things like that, right? All of these steps we go into absolute detail, obviously in the accelerator program. So you can always kind of, whenever you're ready to join, you can join and actually go through this process, so you don't have to do it alone. And then 6 is close the deal. So create urgency, leverage multiple offers to negotiate better terms, highlight your unique value, and close confidently. And the question is, how do I create FOMO, right? Fear of missing out for the company, so they can move fast, right? How do you position yourself as like, okay, you're hot person on the block. Everyone's looking at you. Everyone's looking to hire you. You're in multiple interview rounds, and they need to make a decision quick if they want to have you on board. That's how you close the deal fast, right? Is when you make them want you. You're not there chasing offers. The offers are chasing you. And so you have to understand why are you the one that needs to be hired? You have to create the agency. You have to nail that final round, and you have to create the urgency. So follow up, I think no, that's not urgency. It's following up, setting clear, expectations of where you are, and that you're also, negotiating. Technically, it's urgency too, but I think both of these are very important, whether it's the why you aspect or the urgency. And so that's what what we go through in the program. And then the last one is start before you're ready. When I pivoted from sales to product marketing, I wasn't ready. When I pivoted from product marketing to product marketing leadership in a hypergrowth company like Payfit, I wasn't ready. When I became a CMO, I wasn't ready. When I became then a VP in a hypergrowth VC-backed company, I wasn't ready. And so the objective is to really don't wait till you're fully ready to move on, whether it's a promotion, a leadership role, taking a big project, embrace the challenge and jump in. All right. And so the questions you want to ask yourself is, how can I start learning before my official start date? How can I take on a couple projects even before my first date? Okay, I'm not ready to become a manager, but let's do it anyway. These are the kind of things that you need to do. That's the mentality you need to have, and that's why I never stay put. Whenever I feel like I've outgrown something, I move on. So there you go. You want to make sure you get a head start. You want to make sure you build relationships, and you want to make sure you say yes to the opportunities even when you're not ready. That's what we talk about, being ready, starting before you're ready. And so there you go. That's what I had promised you. 1 full hour of just ton of just quality information. 7 steps to break into. We're right on the ball right now. 1 hour, 60 minutes. 7 steps to break into a top tech company. Think like a career hacker. You need to, or else you can't. You won't pass that 0.2% acceptance rate. You have to model successful people who've already done it, so you can learn fast. You have to close those gaps and improve it. You have to build lead generation machines, so you never have to interview for another ever job in the rest of your career. And still get amazing opportunities coming at you every single day. You have to interview to win. This is the Olympics. Only one person gets a gold medal, and unfortunately there aren't any other medals. That's it. You have to learn how to close a deal by being the hottest commodity on the block. Everyone's coming after you, and you have to start before you're ready every single time. That's the blueprint. And basically, I realized that whenever I give this without all the context you've had before, it just doesn't typically work. And so here you go. Like I promised you, we talked about the growth opportunities in tech companies. We talked about things like Growth Hacker. We talked about LinkedIn as a vehicle. We talked about debunking those myths that hold people back. We talked about the 7 steps. Right now, you got the game plan. And now it's about sharing several ways that you can work. We can work together. And so this was a ton of content. I mean, it was on purpose. I wanted to just give you as much as I promised. 1 full hour of just pure gold, right? Come back, look at it again, right? So I gave you the why. So tech market, the amazing benefits, the odds that it's very difficult to get in. I gave you the what, which is kind of like understanding LinkedIn, debunking those myths, those 7 steps, right? And then now is the how. This is basically if you actually really want to sit down and know exactly step by step how to go through them, there's a lot of things that I offer. Mentorship, courses, playbook, right? You can go on the website. There's a ton of stuff there.